Uh, oh, I got to get out of the way. I'm sitting right in front of the candles. it's three. It's 9:33 p.m. and I've been rushing. It was only about 15 minutes ago that I came up with a title for today, or actually for tomorrow's video, because this is going to be for the 17th, not the 16th. Anyway, the title: Recognizing Advanced Spiritual People. I did not have any idea what the video for tomorrow was going to be, and I'm running out of time to get it ready. Oops. A comment by Janice on today's video provided the theme. Quote, I really love the superiority shown by those who claim to be in 5D consciousness and are waiting for the rest of us to catch up or join them. I'd really like to know what exactly they are doing and or experiencing that is making existence for all so much better. Surely there is a certain amount of bliss and peace found in meditation that can lift us up out of our 3D existence. But what action exactly are all you 5D people performing to lift your fellow human beings from the slavery of 3D consciousness, other than working on yourself and telling the rest of us that we just don't get it? Please be specific. Thanks, Janice. Well, look, I'm superior. See, I got purple on. There are people, really, and I've been in that boat myself, that think that they've really made it. And I've found that, I don't know, maybe it doesn't work this way for everybody, but whenever I get to feeling pretty high and mighty and above everybody else, the universe usually has a way, or God has a way, a Holy Spirit, whatever, has a way to bring me down to a level that I can be more real and authentic. And I've realized that that in some areas I'm probably a little bit more advanced than some people, and in other areas I'm not so advanced at all. You know, I still eat meat, and now when I make that admission, that automatically offends a whole lot of food fundamentalists that think that meat is the absolute bane of existence, and how can any conscious person possibly eat meat? Well, I do, and I eat cheese, and cheese is one of my favorite foods of all. To me, health food is whatever tastes good, but I don't want to get into the food thing. I've done enough of those videos, at least for now. We're talking about spiritual superiority. Oh dear. You know, we shouldn't think of ourselves more highly than what is reality. And when we are thinking of ourselves pretty highly, chances are we're, we're pretty much inflating our own ego. And that's called self-righteousness. And it's one of the 7 deadly sins, I think, or something like that. Or maybe it's spiritual pride, I don't know. I do know this, that we're all cut from the same fabric. And even when we have those moments where we think we've arrived and we finally have it made, you know, we learn that right around the corner there's more challenge and more opportunity to discover new things about ourselves. They may not always be that we're so wonderfully spiritual and so wonderfully intellectual and so wonderfully advanced compared to other people. In fact, comparing ourselves to anybody is really a lot of stupidity. There's not much wisdom in it, because, man, I have things to learn from my 5-year-old grandson. and from my other grandchildren. I have things to learn from people that have never darkened the door of a church in their life. And they have spiritual things to teach me. And, you know, it's laughable how some people are so easy to put other people down. Oh, you're wrong, you're wrong. Well, how do you know they're wrong? They're maybe at a phase of development. It's different than where you are, but it doesn't mean they're wrong. You know, I'm still hoping that my video for the next day, the day after tomorrow, I'm still hoping that that's going to be an interview with Jagamara. Now, he's an interesting guy. He's an Aborigine. He was not educated much as one of the white Australians. He was an Aboriginal Australian. Interesting guy. And he's learned a lot, and I'm hoping to have him on. He's brought tears to my eyes a few times that I've heard him speak. And he's interesting. But I'm sure he's a meat eater. I'm sure most indigenous people on the planet are meat eaters. They're hunters and gatherers. And most of their hunting involves game or animals. Now, I'm not going to tell you for a minute, here I am back on food again. I'm not going to tell you that I like the way our animals, our food animals are raised. I'm not going to tell you I appreciate that. I don't appreciate that at all. It is what it is, but it's one of many things that need addressing and need to be corrected. And I honor all food that I eat that gave its life so that I can sustain mine. And that's true as much of plants as it is of animals. It's true of everything I eat. And I'd rather eat with thanksgiving and appreciate and think, man, this tastes wonderful, than to do what I did once of becoming a vegetarian for a while and eating things that I no longer enjoyed. I mean, maybe someday, but I'm not there yet. And it's okay. I'm not going to let you people that are vegans and vegetarians put me down, or put down the indigenous people that are in some ways way more advanced spiritually than the Western people are. I mean, we think we've got it all figured out because we've got all this head knowledge. And I remember the story of I guess it was a missionary that I heard once a long time ago. And he was in the Kalahari Desert in South Africa. And he was talking to one of the natives. And the native was going on what the Australians would call a walkabout. And they would just travel. And they'd go miles and miles and miles away from their village. And then they'd come back. And the Westerner says, well, how do you find your way? There's no signs. And the native fell down on the ground. He had a belly laugh and just laughed at this Westerner. He says, don't you know that every bush is different? Every rock is different. What he was saying is that I'm aware of my environment. Westerners aren't aware of their environment, including me. I mean, I'm not nearly as advanced as these natives. And some of them might not even be able to read and write. Some of them might not be able to do a math problem or even simple arithmetic. But they have a knowledge that I don't have. And I'm not saying I envy them, but I recognize their superiority at that level compared to me. That doesn't make me bad. It doesn't make them better than me. It just makes them different. And we're all different from one another. And we each have our gifts and our talents and our abilities that are unique to us. And the combination of those is unique to every one of us. So that I'm not going to be as good a ball player as people that are in the major leagues. My dad was a semi-pro ball player. He was really, really good. He was, and he played softball, and he hit the longest home run that anybody could ever remember. He hit a softball, I bet you 450 feet, 400 anyway. I mean, it's unbelievable how far that ball sailed. I mean, it went over, not only over the fence, but across the street into the front yard of the people on the other side of the street. And that was a long way from home plate. I mean, it was unbelievable. My dad was good, better than me. And lots of people are better than me at something or another. And it doesn't matter. That doesn't make us superior spiritual people or more advanced than someone else. How do you recognize someone who is advanced? Well, I don't know the answer to that question, but I know how to recognize someone that isn't very advanced. They come across as if they're superior. And that's not being very advanced. It's being stuck in their head. It's being very egotistical. It's being very foolish because there's no wisdom in braggadocio and bragging about how spiritual you are and how righteous and how good. Come down to earth, will you? You'll be much better off, no matter who you are. And about this 5D stuff, you know, as long as we're in our bodies, we're in 3D. We're in 3D. We may know some things and be aware of some things that other people may not yet know, but that doesn't make us superior. That doesn't really mean we're advanced. It just means that we're in a process of waking up in certain areas. And there are other areas that we don't even know exist. We haven't even crossed that bridge yet to discover the things that we don't know that we don't know. So folks, I'm going to just give you a piece of advice. And you can take it or leave it. Because I don't have all the answers. But humble yourself. You know, there's a whole lot of wisdom in that. It's better to say I don't know than to come across as if you've got all the answers and that people have to agree with you. Yeah, we all like people to agree with us. I do too. It affirms what we believe. It validates our opinion. But my goodness, if we live just to be validated, then we're not very secure. A person who is secure doesn't worry about what other people say or think. I'm not there yet, because sometimes I do care about what other people say or think. But I would think that a person who is really advanced really wouldn't give a damn what anybody else thought of them, because they'd be secure in their own being. And most of us, if we're honest, aren't secure in our own being. I know I'm not secure when it comes to relationships or dating. I'm really insecure, as was pointed out to me not very long ago. Yeah, it's true. I mean, when it comes to romance and sexuality, I'm really in elementary school because I don't know what to do with my sexual energy most of the time. I don't know what to do with a lot of things most of the time. But I do know this. I'm learning to love myself. And as the more I'm willing to accept myself where I am, the easier it is to accept others where they are. And not lay a whole bunch of trips on them and say, you got to do this and you can't do that. Get over it, folks. Don't should on me and don't should on each other. And don't should on yourself. Learn to be happy and as content as possible, even in your discontent. And yes, that's a paradox. But allow yourself to not be satisfied with what you're not satisfied with. Allow yourself to tell the truth, to just be real, be authentic. Don't put on a mask. Don't put on a persona and a show. Don't try to be something that you're not. Be real. That takes practice because most of us have spent our whole lives learning how not to be real. And some people are really advanced at that. In all seriousness, love yourself and love each other. Because we're going to go through this thing. We're changing the world. It may not look it. It may not feel it all the time. But it's happening. It's happening. As I said, love yourself and love each other. Because that's really what spirituality is all about. Anything that isn't loving isn't very spiritual. That's all I'm going to share for now, for tomorrow's video. Thanks again for listening. Namaste.